Welcome back to the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. Coming up right now, it's classes B and C to race. On row 1, we've got Chris Randall and Andrew Walsh, which should give us a really exciting start to this race. Here's David Addison with the full grid.
Andrew Walsh, don't forget, was the man that won the very first race in this series back here in March, but Chris Randall has been the man to beat for the bulk of the season. Behind them, you've got Simon Scuffham and Russ Treasure on the second row. Russ still fighting against the unreliability of that car. The third row, Steve Williams and David Skaggs. Andrew Waters lining up 7th on the grid. The former single-seater racer has gone well in qualifying. Gordon Milner joins in from the Toyota MR2 Challenge. He had a couple of wins at the Power Nights events as well during the course of the summer. He could be one to watch here. Doug Setters lining up 17th, another experienced driver. Neil McKean's a long way back on the grid, and so too is Andrew Kell. He's had to have a new engine in the car, and he's got a lot of work to do from 21st on the grid. 20 minutes of racing then is about to get underway. The lights go out, and a good start made by Andrew Walsh then from the outside of the front row, but a dreadful start made by Nick Kay. Russ Treasure gets a good start as well. He gets to the outside of Andrew Walsh heading into paddock. Chris Randall sneaks up the inside and goes 3rd. Simon Scuffham 4th as they head now for the first time up towards Druids. Now can Russ Treasure find a way through into the lead then? He gets to the braking area but can't quite find a way past Chris Randall. On board now with Nick Kay coming up towards Druids, dives through a gap in the middle, gets sideways, there's contact, and Nick Kay goes off onto the grass. He just there bounced off the side of another car, that of Chris Hadlam. That's Jess Breaker who's gone into the gravel. Well, that's the first 2 corners, and we've got cars all over the place, but Nick Kay really is so far having raced in the race leaders there make their way up towards the completion of lap 1. Walsh goes wide, Chris Randall now looking for the inside as they come out of Clark Curve. But Andrew Walsh knows how to position the car to defend that lead, and he still leads then over the line. Randall is 2nd, Treasure is 3rd, 4th is Simon Scuffham. And Russ Treasure has had all of this bad luck over the course of the year. It would be great to have him finishing on the podium here in these final races of the season. Scuffham right up behind him as the rest of the field pour through paddock. Neil McKean there running wide, but he survives. Andrew Kell making progress as well, and he's back on board now with Nick Kay heading up towards Druids. Dives to the outside of Doug Setters there. Can Nick Kay drive all the way around the outside? Let's just see. Race leaders though, over the line, nose to tail. It's still Andrew Walsh ahead of Chris Randall, and Randall now makes his move, diving up on the inside as they get to the braking area, and Randall's supercharged Honda engine car goes through. He grabs the lead then. Andrew Walsh, who's also Honda's supercharged engine powered, is there down in 2nd place, but trying to fight back as they get to the hairpin. Now normally when Randall hits the front, he just drives away from the rest of them. He's not done every race in the series this year, but those that he has been present for, he's normally come away with a win. Andrew Kell about to dive through on the inside, look, they're climbing up towards Druids. Goes through on the inside of Robert Morris. Andrew Kell 21st on the grid, but making progress. David Alexander goes through number 20. You're on board now once more with Nick Kay, former Road Saloon champion a good number of seasons ago, and that's Russ Treasure who's lost a place now. There's also, I hate to say it, some smoke coming from the back of that car. Simon Scuffham has gone ahead of him up into 3rd place now, but it could well be that Russ Treasure yet again is going to have to head for the pit lane as he has done at just about every race in the series this year. Kay dives up the inside, snatches another place going into Surtees here. Sets the car up for the right-hander of McLaren. The leaders though go through. Randall dominant up front now, he's pulling away as David Skaggs loses out going into paddock because there Steve Williams dives through on the inside, then goes wide, and Skaggs will retake the place. Andy Waters goes through, he's got 81, Neil McKean right on his tail. Waters gets a little bit crossed up, runs wide all over the curb on the outside of paddock. McKean makes his move on the inside. Right with them as well, there you can see David Harvey in the 340R, he runs wide now up at Druids. If you push too hard at one corner, it's around this very short circuit, can really compromise your run to the next one. That is why you're finding drivers making these tiny errors, and it seems to lose them so much time. They're wrong once, but then compromise for the next corner. Meantime, battles continue to rage on right the way through the field. There is 82 David Skaggs, Steve Williams running with him, and they go past Malcolm Sanders' car. There you can see that's off in the gravel on the outside of Clark Curve. There's a yellow flag on the start line, and that means the safety car is being deployed. Malcolm Sanders' car is in a very precarious place. Don't forget that starting the season here on the Indy circuit by catching fire. It has ended the season far from in a blaze of glory, I'm sad to say though. There you can see Neil McKean about to be passed by David Harvey, busily gesticulating at the SC boards to say don't pass me, otherwise you'll be facing a penalty. The safety car comes out, nobody can overtake while the safety car is on the track, but it does mean they are all going to bunch up, and that's very good news now for Andrew Walsh, who will have another chance of finding a way past Chris Randall perhaps, because all the gaps will come right down. So green flag is going to be waved this time. You can see the way that Randall has backed right off, stacking the ball up behind. What he wants to do is try to get them to break, and when they break he will pull away and steal an advantage. He's not quite worked out like that because Andrew Walsh has stayed on his tail. Around paddock they go in third place then. Simon Scuffham, vastly experienced Lotus racer. Fourth and fifth, it's Skeggs ahead of Steve Williams as the cars head up towards Druids then. This is the first lap of the restarted part of the race, if you like, and around the hairpin goes Skeggs. He loses out, that's Williams past him on the inside. Skeggs challenging now on the outside as they head down to Graham Hill Bend through the left-hander. Williams runs wide up onto the curb. Now David Skeggs can challenge. They're side by side, these two, as they head along Cooper Straight. There's a car off in the background. That's Andrew Kell that's run wide and has slowed right down as well. Kell may indeed have a problem. He's still on the grass then and looks as though he may be peeling into retirement, but Chris Randall now is just driving away from the opposition. Second and third, Andrew Walsh ahead of Simon Scuffham. Scuffham looks to the inside now as they head in towards paddock, but he's not, I don't think, going to be able to find a way through there. Andrew Walsh, who's had a couple of wins this year, one here, one at Donington, hangs on to the advantage. Up now towards Druids they go. Scuffham looks on the inside. It was a tighter line there, but he can't find a way by. Down towards Graham Hill Bend they come. There you can see Walsh still in his second place. Third, right up with him is Simon Scuffham, and Scuffham now trying to work out exactly where he can make his move. There's another good fight building up here. 42 is Mark Gooday, and he is also looking to try to gain a place as they head towards Druids. Anthony Clark just ahead of him. 22 is Clark, and there you can see Gooday sitting down the fresh air, goes for the inside, dives through on the inside, and that gives him the place. Mark Gooday goes through on the inside as they come into Graham Hill Bend, or does it? Clark stays on the outside of him, but eventually the 340R makes the move stick. Mark Gooday goes through on the run up towards Surtees. That gains him another place out of all of this. Battles continue right the way through the field. Big slide there. That's Chris Headlam getting it all wrong. It goes left, it goes right, it goes left, it goes right. Big moment for him. Bedlam for Headlam. He carries on as Randall makes his way up towards Druids. You can see the size of the gap he's got though now over Walsh second, Scuffham third. Simon Scuffham's car now looking very Le Mans this with the headlights on. The light is fading. He looks on the inside at Druids. And there's lots of smoke out of the back of the car. Now, was that tar smoke because he locked up, or is there a problem? Let's just see as he comes down towards Graham Hill Bend. The smoke for the moment has gone, I think, so hopefully here Simon Scuffham is going to be good to get to the end of the race. He charges through on the inside then, takes second place away from Andrew Walsh. So forget, I think, any problem with Simon Scuffham's car. He's still got the speed in it as Nick Kay dives up the inside there to go ahead of David Harvey as they come up towards Surtees. Nick Kay recovering after his spin on the first lap of the race. Mark Gooday there pulling away from Anthony Clark. The field now getting just a little bit strung out, even though had that safety car period to bunch the ball up again. Number 79, Jamie Allison, goes through. Somebody getting all sideways ahead and spinning. That's David Alexander. He's one of the newcomers this weekend, and I'm afraid he's off into the gravel. That could well be the end of his race as they pour over the line. There goes Nick Kay, who's just managed to find a way through ahead of Andy Waters. Out of paddock they go. Steve Williams is there in touch as well, and Williams trying to fight back on the inside. There is David Harvey next in the queue as they go through Druids. Nick Kay at the head of this gaggle of cars. Waters fighting back, so is Williams. This is the beauty of this series. So to the inside at Graham Hill Bend, Steve Williams made a move, but his nose chopped across then. That put it up onto the curb. Andy Waters being very defensive indeed. So Nick Kay has driven very well, recovering after that spin, but he's got it all wrong. Look, round comes the back. He's had another spin. Nick Kay goes right the way round. Oh, there's contact as well. He just glances off the side of Steve Williams' car. Nothing Williams could do about that. He was going for a gap. The gap suddenly closed, and Nick Kay with lots of tyre squeal. He's really cross about this. Gets himself back into the race. Having a good recovery by Nick Kay after his problems on the first lap. As Simon Scuffham's smoke is getting more and more coming out of that car. He's still in second place. You've got Walsh up behind him. But now it is very definitely mechanical smoke. Simon Scuffham is going to have to head for the pit lane, I think, the way that this race is going. And Andrew Walsh makes his move up on the inside. That's going to give him second place once again. Walsh goes second. Simon Scuffham gets a little bit crossed up. He's still pushing those. They come up towards McLaren, but Walsh is ahead, and Scuffham dives up the inside and just knocks Walsh out of the way. There was no gap. That was a silly bit of driving on Scuffham's part. It has ended up with him in the gravel. And arguably he got his just desserts out of all of that, because that move was never, ever on. Andrew Walsh then, despite the damage, is going to be able to survive in second place. It means because of that spin he's just had, Chris Randall has an even bigger lead. Neil McKean, David Harvey and Steve Williams here pour their way out of Graham Hill Bend. Well, Chris Randall is on target for yet another victory. He really has been the benchmark driver in the Lotus on-track Elise Trophy this year. And Chris Randall now makes his way up towards the line. The checkered flag is going to be at the ready for him this time around. At the end of another 20 minutes of racing, it's a win for Chris Randall, who comes through victorious here at Brands Hatch. And he's going to win by a massive margin over Andrew Walsh in second place. Walsh comes over the line, the gap 27 seconds at the end of the race. That really is a slightly phony gap, in as much as, of course, some of the time was lost when Walsh was knocked into his spin. Well, there's Chris Randall being given his winner's hat by David Willey of Motorsport Vision Racing, and the top three of Randall, Walsh and Waters on the back of the Motorsport Vision victory car here at Brands Hatch. So Chris Randall the winner, Andrew Walsh second, Andy Waters third ahead of Steve Williams in fourth, David Harvey fifth, and the recovering Nick Kay sixth ahead of McKean, Clark, Robert Morris and Doug Setters in 10th. Waters, Williams and Harvey then the top three. In Class B is Randall, Walsh and Kay. In Class C,
Andy third overall, but more importantly, Class B winner.
Yeah, it's excellent. First race for the season, obviously the last one of the season, but looking forward to next year and push hard and develop the car and have hopefully more wins. It's a fantastic championship and I want to support it as much as possible. The full grids, plenty of competition, and it sits you on the edge of your seat, and that's what we need.
Randy, a great race. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was quite good fun. I knew I was going to get ruined off the start because the inside of the track was really greasy. So surely enough, everyone got past me, and then I figured I got to get past Walshy quick, because otherwise you get in a rhythm behind someone, you never get past. So a few corners later, and yes, managed to get up the inside of paddock. Good fun.
And there you have more close racing, providing us with some real nail-biting moments. But sadly, that's it for this season. A final goodbye from the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. We've had a great year, we really have. We've had close racing and full grids at every single round. And the ever-growing success, of course, means that there's over 100 cars interested in racing next season. So we hope to see you then.